what's up? It's Elise from thecrunchyginger.com, and I'm going to share with you today one of my favorite frugal, healthful lunchtime hacks, and that is instant soup in a jar. This is one of my favorite things for a couple of reasons. It's an excellent leftovers buster. So if you've got a little bit of veggies hanging out in the fridge left over from dinner or whatever, this is an amazing way to use that and not let that stuff go to waste. Also, lunchtime can be crazy and hectic, and this is a really convenient grab and go option that you can make ahead of time and use throughout your week. I'm going to show you how to build this and the basics of which ingredients go on which layer of this sort of soup veggie parfait. And then when we're ready to prepare it, all you need to do is add boiling water, or if you want to, you can use your own homemade broth or broth of your choice. But let's get started. I'm going to show you what goes in the jar. So first of all, you're going to want to start with a jar about this size. This is a wide mouth pint mason jar. If you don't want to use a jar like this, or if you don't have a jar like this, you can totally use something else, but I would recommend it be about this size, about 2 cups worth, and also be in a sort of heat resistant, heat proof container. That kind of keeps it all concealed. That way you can put the hot liquid right in this jar. You can eat it right out of the jar. So the first thing that's going to go in our jar is some kind of soup base. This is what's going to make this soupy. This is what's going to create our broth. Now, there's a bunch of different versions of this. This is better than bouillon. And I'm going to say that even in these organic versions of these soup bases, there are some ingredients that some people find objectionable. So read the label, make sure that it's appropriate for your diet and right for you. And if you don't like them, you can just leave this out altogether and use a boiling broth at the end to make your soup, a chicken broth or veggie broth or whatever you want. You're going to want to add about 2 teaspoons of your soup base. You can also use miso paste, you could use curry paste, stuff like that. Something that's going to create a broth, and you'll put it right at the bottom of your jar. The next thing you'll want to add is some kind of flavor booster, some kind of liquid flavor enhancer. I'm going to use soy sauce because we're going to make a sort of veggie ramen. You could also use tamari if you're gluten-free. Other options for this, depending on the flavor of your soup, you could use salsa, you could use pesto, you could use a little coconut milk, splash of sesame oil, sriracha, all kinds of stuff. The sky's really the limit here. A squeeze of fresh juice would be good. So that's going to go in next. Then the next thing we're going to do is add some vegetables. This is going to be like the main section of your soup. And I'm going to add frozen vegetables. The reason we can do this without defrosting them is because we're going to make this ahead of time. So you can go ahead and put them in there, still frozen. By the time you're ready to prepare your soup, your veggies will already be thawed out. For this section of the soup, you're going to want to do about 3/4 to a cup worth of ingredients. So I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of corn. I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of frozen peas. You could use other frozen vegetables. Probably you want them to be a little small. I wouldn't throw like a giant hunk of frozen broccoli in there unless you chop it up first. But whatever you like would be fine. Besides frozen vegetables, you can throw in some shredded or finely chopped other fresh vegetable, because we're not really cooking in here, we're just heating it through. You're not going to want to put like a whole, giant carrot slice in there, because it's still going to be crunchy when you make your soup. So the shreds are great. They add a little bit of texture. They're great just heated up as they are. Shredded cabbage would be good. Diced fresh mushrooms, also a good choice. And the reason why I call this a leftover buster is because you can also use leftover cooked vegetables. So like that last spoonful of green beans that you're like, should I throw this away? Is anybody gonna even eat this? That's great in here. I've used roasted vegetables. If you have been around my channel, you know how much I love roasted veggies. And so roasted potatoes, squash, beets, carrots, fennel, celeriac. I've used all of this stuff. It makes an excellent soup. This is kind of where you can go wild with this and create your own flavor combinations and just get rid of whatever you've got laying around the fridge. So on top of this, we can add our grain or our noodle section. when you add noodles, because again, they're not going to cook, you want them to be already cooked. The same with quinoa or farro or rice or brown rice or barley. Whatever you want would be great in here. Even just like leftover spaghetti noodles would be excellent in here. The one exception is ramen noodles. So this is obviously a gigantic pack that I got at Costco, and this is a millet and brown rice ramen, and it comes in these like cakes and these patties, and obviously this isn't going to fit well in here. So I'm going to use for a pint jar like this, which is a single serving. I'm going to use half of this, so I'll just sort of break it in half. This can be a little messy, so be aware. And then I'm just going to break it to fit in my jar, so I'll just break it in half like that. These can go in dry because they will cook with the boiling water in just a few minutes. So that goes in there like that. We can save this one for another jar. And when I make these, I like to make a whole bunch at a time because they're going to be good for about 4 or 5 days in your fridge. Then you can just kind of grab one and go and take it with you to work, or stick it in your purse because they're in this sealed container, or in your bag, whatever. They're a great alternative to like your standard sandwich, or grabbing something expensive at the deli. Okay, so then on top of your noodles or rice, then you're going to add your delicate fresh ingredients. I'm going to add on top of this about half a cup of chopped baby greens. I like to add this stuff on top because it keeps it away from your moisture at the bottom. That's why this is going to be able to stay good for several days. It's not going to get all soggy because it's far away from where we have our liquid. I'm also going to add about a tablespoon or so of chopped fresh cilantro. Other herbs would be great. Basil or parsley. Sprouts would be good on top of this. A wedge of lime or lemon. This is another place where you can get really creative, and this is the stuff that's going to give you a real pop of flavor in your jar. So there we have all of the ingredients right in this jar. You put the lid on, you pop this in your fridge, and this is going to be good all week long. I'll show you how to prepare it. Let me boil some water. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have boiled my water, and because I've got my basin here, I'm going to be using just only water. We pour it right over. Oh, I can smell that cilantro heating up. It smells so good. You're going to fill this. Don't fill it all the way to the tippy top because you are going to want to be able to stir this. So fill it up. And now I like to take a chopstick and kind of stir it around like this. This mixes up our ingredients. You're gonna kind of break up your ramen. If you're using the dry ramen, this is particularly important. And you want to mix up that base down at the bottom of our soup. I would suggest holding this with some kind of mitt because it's really hot. I'm gonna put the lid on this and I'm gonna leave it for about 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes, and now we're going to take the lid off and check out our soup. You'll notice that I didn't add any like meat or cheese or anything like that to this, and that is because it makes the fridge life of this a little bit longer. If you want to add cooked chicken or ham or turkey or whatever, cheese, to this mixture, that's absolutely fine, but I would bring it with you in like a little sidecar. That way you can maintain the freshness of this in the fridge. And this looks beautiful. Look at our delicious, amazing, convenient, grab and go, healthful soup in a jar. Woo. And these noodles are great, but if you find that there's like a little bit of crunch from the carrot, it's really good. If you find that your noodles are still a little bit firm, if you use the ramen, just pop it in the microwave for just a second, or let it sit for a little bit longer. You can eat this right out of the jar. If you're super fancy, you can grab a bowl, grab a spoon. I hope that you have found this helpful, and I hope that you can find many flavor combinations that work for you and work for your family, help you bust out those fridge. Do not throw away that last scoop of roasted potatoes. It's awesome in this soup. If you want to know more about this, if you want to know more ideas for soups to build, check out the blog post on this topic. It's at thecrunchyginger.com. I will put the link below. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at The Crunchy Ginger. Check me out on Pinterest. Find me somewhere. Connect with me. Please leave me a comment below and let me know how you liked this soup and what soups are working for you and your family. Please subscribe if you want to know more, because I will be sharing more of my favorite recipes for soups in jars. Thank you very much for watching.